Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone, and day 11 of the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar saw the final set of matches in Group C and D being contested. Here are the results of the 4 matches contested. So we had Argentina overcoming Poland 2-0, Mexico 2-1 win over Saudi Arabia. In Group D, Australia 1-0 win over Denmark, and Tunisia 1-0 win over France. Well, what a day of football. Let's start with Argentina's win over Poland. Lance, are Argentina still one of the favorites?
I guess they are, because it's a pretty open World Cup. You know, Brazil are clearly the favorites, and they have been unmoved. There's nothing that has happened since the start of the World Cup to change Brazil being the favorites. But, you know, as far as the other title contenders are concerned, a stuttering start by Argentina, but they've done enough to get into the round of 16. And this is where the football is going to start now. Because from here on in, you can't afford to lose. And because Argentina has such a rich history and a player of the quality of a Lionel Messi, even though he missed a penalty today or failed to score a penalty today.
He missed a couple chances.
Yeah, I would think they remain one of the favorites. But I wouldn't say second or third favorites, though. Okay,
and based on what you saw from Argentina today, we have to rate today's performance as one of their better performances in the World Cup campaign so far, because the Argentina we saw in the opening match looked like a shadow of what we expected from them.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I would give them credit for scoring 2 goals, and the fact that Messi wasn't among the scorers, it meant that other players came to the fore to deliver for Argentina, and Poland hadn't been scored against before today. So it suggests that the Poland defense line is a pretty strong one, having played, you know, kept scoreless performances in their opening games. So Argentina scored against them. So I thought Argentina's performance today was decent. They needed a result in a crunch game, and they got it.
Yeah, a lot of controversy surrounding Messi earlier today in the match. Would you say that Messi fluffed?
He didn't have his best game today. He missed a penalty, or he failed to score a penalty, which, you know, at this level, you've got to take heat for that, because you get a penalty, it's an opportunity to put your team ahead. And when he missed the penalty, or had the penalty saved by Szczesny, who was outstanding today, the score was 0-0 at the time. So they needed Messi to score that goal. And the fact that he didn't score would have been a blotch on his performance today. He also failed to score a couple of other opportunities that presented themselves in the box, which, again, you know, would count against Messi, a player of his quality. But I think we have all accepted that Messi isn't the player he was 4 years ago or 8 years ago in previous World Cups. So it's been a bit of a struggle for him, and mentally, I think today was a bit draining for him.
Yeah, you could see it from the look on his face.
Yeah.
Another question, was it actually a penalty, Lance? Based on what you saw, and based on what VAR officials and referees had to say, would you say that was a penalty?
Well, based on the rules, you can give a penalty in an instance like that. Having said that, if you put a discretionary factor into it, because Messi had missed the opportunity to score. He had misdirected the header, so the opportunity to score had already gone when he was struck. So if you want to look at it that way, you could consider Poland being unfortunate to concede a penalty there. But based on the rules of the game, if the referee is following the rule of the game, then it is reasonable to give a penalty. I know that a lot of people looking on, and the social media blew up on it because it was felt that it was an unfair penalty. I got a comment from former FIFA referee Peter Prendergast, and this is what he said. He said, one could say the contact by the goalkeeper had no impact on Messi's ability to play the ball. However, he did strike Messi in the face in a careless manner, hence a foul in the penalty area, therefore a penalty kick.
Yes.
He also said that's a book decision, because another referee could offer the opinion that because there was no impact on playing the ball, play on, no penalty. So it was a call at the moment. VAR called. He had to go to the monitor at the side to look at it. So I understand why the penalty was given, but I don't think I don't think all referees would have given that penalty at all times.
Yeah, and a quick comment on Poland, because of course Robert Lewandowski, the talk of the team heading into this World Cup, you know, maybe we have to say he underachieved for his country, because what he does in a Barcelona shirt is completely different.
Yeah, and Bayern Munich before
Yes.
Barcelona,
Yes.
for sure. So, yeah, disappointing for him. Had only his first World Cup goal in one of the previous games. So disappointing for him, but they have advanced to the round of 16, Poland, even though they were beaten today because Mexico defeated Saudi Arabia, and not by a big enough margin to squeeze Poland out, because they did end on the same number of points, 4. So I think Lewandowski would have been disappointed with not, scoring, and Poland losing today. And I don't see them going beyond the round of 16, though, Poland. Not based on what we've seen so far.
Okay, let's talk now about Australia, Lance. Australia upsetting Denmark. Were you surprised with that upset?
Mariah, you know me. I hardly
Nothing surprises you.
Yeah, I hardly get surprised by sporting results, because I tend to have a lot of respect for competitors and teams. As long as they're on the platform, I think there is an opportunity for them to get a result. And while Australia are by no means considered a pedigree football country, the Aussies are determined. They apply themselves very well. They have a very focused approach when they have a sporting engagement, and they play with a lot of heart. And if you come up short against them, a lot of times it's because of the pressure they exert on you. Now, the Aussies are no big football nation, so from that standpoint, it was a bit of a surprise that they would have beaten Denmark. But as we have seen with the USA getting there and getting into the round of 16, some of these teams, you can't overlook them, because they are organized, and they have come to the World Cup determined to make a mark. And a lot of people would be surprised by the Aussies getting into the round of 16, but I'm not that surprised. Although I would accept that, getting by Denmark today would logically be considered an upset result.
But Denmark, they exit the World Cup with 1 point from 3 matches. Overall, would you say they had a disappointment?
Of course they did. Of course they did, yeah. Denmark, you wouldn't consider them a European superpower, but they are a pretty solid European team. And European teams, as long as they are strong European teams that go through qualifying and get there, you would not probably expect them to be eliminated by an Australia. So from that standpoint and their history in football, Denmark falling at this stage would be considered a disappointing exit for them.
All right, so we had that exciting match today, and I did say it yesterday. Didier Deschamps was not going to play his big stars in today's match. France picking up a loss, but they still advance at the top of their group. What did you make of France's loss today?
Well, it would be, my script earlier on said humbling loss, and it would be because of who they lost to.
Yes.
But the fact is they had 9 changes to their starting roster. So they went into the game with a second string setup. So that by itself tells you that they were comfortable going in and wanted to rotate players and so on. So I wouldn't suggest that this result in any way, shape or form damages France's, road to the repeat championship status. But because they are France and because they are defending champions, losing to Tunisia today would fit into the disappointing column. Yeah,
the Tunisia manager, Jalal Kadri, said it's so much mixed feelings because, beating France is a big deal for them, but, they beat them on the note where they have to exit the World Cup. I think, Tunisia can take away some positives from this World Cup just from this simple win against France today.
Yeah, of course. And we saw how desperately they wanted it, because near the end when France were pressing forward for the equalizer, the Tunisian supporters were there in a frenzy and they were begging for the final whistle, because even though they were exiting, they recognized that defeating France would look good on their log going back home. So, they would feel as if they went to the World Cup and at least, got a result that made their fans happy. So I think it was a good result for Tunisia. And when we look ahead to things where the World Cup is concerned, Argentina play Australia. Call that one? Argentina. Yeah? Argentina, yeah. Poland. Too much pedigree. Too much pedigree? Argentina has too much pedigree for Australia. This is not cricket, Mariah. This is football.
Listen, everything you're saying, I agree with you.
Yeah, you would because you're an Argentina fan.
But I'm not saying too much.
Having said that, remember 5 minutes ago I said you shouldn't really overlook Australia because they play with a lot of heart and determination. So Argentina has to go into the match very serious and strategically disciplined and play the way we know they can, because it may not be a walk in the park. We saw Saudi Arabia upset Argentina, albeit in the first game of the World Cup. But the Argentines have found their legs now. You don't expect them to fall to Australia. So I would confidently pick Argentina to beat Australia.
All right, well, looking forward to these upcoming matches. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we have a lot more to discuss here on the SportsMax Zone. Don't go anywhere.